So how was the weekend?
It was good, man. It was opening weekend here in Michigan for training season. Our training season started on Friday. Unfortunately, I had to slave away to the man. So my first day was Saturday. We had a great run. The bear cooperated for the most part. We got a couple good road crossings in. It wasn't anything too crazy. We put a lot of miles on them. They got young dogs rotated in. They all got to look at the bear.
Nice.
And it was honestly, it was a good run right until the end.
That's the best.
Yeah. And, of course, dogs are fat and out of shape. They haven't done much since winter. So we had a little swimming we did this summer, but, so right at the end, we had dogs falling out, and we had a couple young dogs decided they wanted to go grab a porcupine.
Ooh, that's fun.
So we had that. Yeah, I had that to contend with. But the two dogs that were left stuck on the bear, they had him bayed up on the other side of this beaver pond. And it's landlocked on the one side. It's all federal land, but in order to get it, you got to cross the beaver pond. Oh. And so I thought it was going to be a pretty slick we're just going to skate across it. And it wound up, we've been in just a real bad dry spell. And was just swimming muck. It was like swimming through a chocolate milkshake to get over to the dogs. Oh yeah, it was good. It was good. And so we got over there and got the remaining two pulled off, and then had to navigate our way back across the muck
through the trench.
I had muck. Oh my gosh, man, we had it wrapped around us everywhere. We went and found the nearest creek and jumped in just to clean off.
Is it that black, nasty, just silty?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah, exactly. It had yep, exactly. There was only 10 inches of clear water on top of it too. And then it was just deep, no bottom. Yeah. Yeah. The joys of the crap that we have here in Michigan, we have so many waterways, and it's just
that is
gross.
Crazy out there. Like Michigan, Wisconsin, all of that. The water, I mean, we don't contend with that here. We got rivers and creeks and, stuff like that, but not the bogs and the marshes. I mean, very rarely do you get into that. That would not be fun, especially because your boot, you're sure going to get stuck at some point and you're going to pull out a bare foot.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when it's hot out, of course, I just go out in shorts and tennis shoes. I go to Walmart and buy the highest end pair of tennis shoes they offer. That's what I wear in the summertime. But the rest of the year, man, that's what you're fighting. And it is nasty. It is. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when the swamps are wet, everything's wet. You plan on just being wet,
right? It kind of goes with the territory.
Yeah.
But how many young dogs are you guys running this year?
Oh my gosh. Between the group of guys I hunt with, holy smokes, we got a pile of them, man. I think there's probably 6 or 8 that are not even year-old dogs, and so they're just getting thrown in when they can, you know what I mean? And there's quite a few. Then I've got half of, I got about half of my pack right now is under 2, so I got some good young dogs. Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. They're honest to goodness. So I got 2 right now that are really rocking, that are just 2-year-old dogs, man. And they're about as dependable as they come. So that's really nice thing to see. Yeah. Yeah. The future is bright anyway. So with them.
Well, because you guys out there, you're limited on the number of dogs you can have down, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So during training season, we can only have 8 dogs down at a time on a bear.
Total, per guy, or
total? Nope, that's total. That's for the whole hunt. So it's something that we always got to be mindful of. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we try to, we've got a fairly decent group, and the beginning of training season, there's more guys that kind of come along. I mean, we're super easy going groups. We let all the stragglers come along with us, sure. But they'll fall out, you know what I mean, as it goes on. And but we'll split off into smaller groups, so you can everybody can get more of their own dogs running.
Sure.
Just
That's hard
just keep her
though
going.
for young dogs. I mean, really, if you're having to
Man,
relay them, I mean, I would assume if you're getting the road crossings, that's got to be nice. Just kick a young dog out in front and snag one and relay them.
yep, yep, yeah, that's it exactly, man. Like we, fortunately here, so like I live in kind of like the northwestern Lower Peninsula, and we run on all federal land. It's actually right behind my house, and there's a lot of good roads in there, a lot of good roads. So we can hit a lot of road crossings, and
Nice.
it's super helpful for getting the experience on the young dogs, whereas like where we have our camps at, it's on the west side of the UP, and that's where we go out for like our kill season and stuff.
Mhm.
And that up there, that's huge blocks.
Yeah, with nothing in
What
them.
you put in from the start is what's there
Yeah.
at the end. You know, there's not a chance for relays.
No. How long do you guys have to get them tuned in, like training season wise, before season opens?
So yes, we start July 8th. We've got until like middle of September, basically. So we've got a couple good months.
It's a pretty good training season.
No, it honestly is, man. Like that's one thing. It's my favorite part of the year is summertime training season because it's so long. We can run every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome.
Well, man, I should
Getting
probably
them dogs.
introduce you real quick, actually, as we're getting into this,
Yeah,
because we've been trying to set this up for 3 weeks now, probably, and you've been busy, and
yeah,
you promised, you said just hold off, and I'll get us some good train wreck stories before, from training season.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I'm good for those.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got Elijah Keller here with me, houndsman extraordinaire, and part of the Michigan Bear Hunters as well, right?
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
And
Yeah, I'm
you
vice
you hold a
president of
board
Michigan Bear Hunters
position, right?
Association.
Yeah, vice
Yeah,
president.
yeah, I'm vice president. Yep.
How'd you get that?
So, I mean, I got on the board, and it just kind of the way it worked out. I guess. I mean, I suppose I'm a likable person, so.
Usually it's because you don't show up to a meeting. That's when it usually
Right.
happens.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. No, they asked me if I'd like to run for it, and I of course obliged. I mean, I think it's part of like this mindset that we have here in Michigan too. But I mean, just being that dedication to knowing that we've got to volunteer, we've got to be there in order to keep doing this. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't going to skip an opportunity.
No, that's awesome.
But
And that's what it's going to take is people getting involved, because you can only do it so long, I mean, we need fresh faces and people involved, and I know you guys do a ton.
yeah, I mean, we really try to stay active. I mean, like, so in Michigan, we've got three major hound hunting organizations. So there's us, the Michigan Bear Hunters Association. Then we have the UP Bear Houndsman Association. Then the Michigan Hunting Dog Federation. And the three of us really, we come together, we work as one, we try to be one voice to give ourselves as much power and political clout as we can.
Yeah.
And it's so pivotal. I mean, especially Michigan's a referendum state, man. We're in that steady barrage, And I know we said we talk about this stuff afterwards or a little later on, but
Oh no.
it comes so easy.
Yeah, it does. And you've got some people back there that are doing an awesome job. I mean, as far as
Oh,
boots on the ground, and we've done podcasts with Mike Thorman, a ways back, and he's up there
yep.
fighting the battle all the time. It seems like he's always on the move and being aggressive with it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, people take everything that he's done for granted, but honest to goodness, like we wouldn't be in the position that we are right now if it wasn't for Mike Thorman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been a true mentor to me, and what he has given for this sport, for our ability to free cast a dog in the state of Michigan, it's just incredible.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, people take it for granted in places that they don't have to contend with that as bad. But it seems like you guys back there are always, I mean, we're all under attack, but it seems like they are just trying to chip away and chip away and chip away, with breeding regulations and kennel regulations. They're taking that back door every chance they can. And you guys are
Yeah,
lucky
yeah,
you all work together. I mean, that's the nice thing is all the organizations out there work together.
yeah. No, it absolutely is, and I mean, and that's been the key to our success is that we all do work together, and then we've gotten to because of Mike Thorman and our all of our relationships, we've built such strong relationships with legislators that we have in to where these guys have got our backs,
Yeah.
and they're giving us the heads up when they smell something funky coming along, and I mean it's gone so far. It's incredible.
That's nice. It's nice when they're in
Yeah.
your corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you just got to keep fostering those relationships.
Exactly. Yeah, we're constant PR. That's what I tell everybody. We are PR every minute of our life for what we do. We've got to do it. So were you involved in the Michigan Bear Hunters pretty much from the start, or have you been like what was your background in dogs prior to getting involved?
Yeah, so I mean it's been I don't know, probably last 8 or 10 years I've been with Michigan or been involved with Michigan Bear Hunters, but so my history in dogs, I grew up we coon hunted. That was primarily our big thing was coon hunting, and we had some running dogs, ran coyotes in the winter, and then we had some coyote dogs and with some of our coon dogs, and we started running some cats. And my great uncle, who was he was like my hunting mentor as far as dog hunting goes. He always had rabbit dogs and stuff like that too, and he really laid the groundwork for me to take it to the next level. And then, of course, I had a dad who just encouraged the hell out of it. I mean, he wanted me out there doing it every chance I could, and he went when he could. I mean, he was always, just busy working,
Sure.
And but yeah, and it just kind of kept evolving to the point where, like once I could drive, I was like, I'm gonna start running bears.
There you go.
That was kind of the next step in the evolution. And yeah, once I saw that first bear in front of my dogs, it was over.
Isn't it funny how that works though? I was just recording one the other night with a guy and we were talking about there's something about it that you just can't get out of your blood. I mean, I miss bear hunting a lot. And I never even got to do a bunch of it when I knew anything. I mean, I had dogs and I was hunting with people, but I didn't know what I was doing. Like to be able to go back now would be just awesome. Because there's something about bear hunting that just it gets me going.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. There's nothing like it. And I can't imagine being the shoes that you're in. I mean, having to where you were committed to it and it was your lifestyle, and to have that wiped away from you, man,
it was crazy.
That's got to leave a bad taste.
Yeah, it does, man. But it's the same deal when you leave it in the hands of the voters. It's tough, and overturning it. It's been, there's been attempts or, polling but man, it hasn't been in the cards yet. So you just got to keep going and keep supporting and, doing like what you're doing now. And hopefully we can all band together and make some changes now that we got some wins across the country. There's been some good wins.
There's been some huge wins, and it's super encouraging to see. I mean, especially in the political climate that we're in.
Yeah.
I mean, to see these wins for hound hunting, it's been awesome. It definitely gives you hope that there is a little bit of future, that we're not the last generation, kind of, so to speak.
Yeah, right. Well, and you're a bear hunter. I mean, you know how it is. There's like a whole brotherhood there. I mean, just like the coon guys, like we all have our own little cults within our group, but it's like that is a good group of guys. And it's one of those things like, yeah, the dog work, it gets you going, the bear gets you going. But the type of people you go to bear camp with, Man, it's a different atmosphere. It's something you can't explain to someone.
Yeah. No, that's what I tell everybody. Like I can sit here and I can try as eloquently as possible to talk about and describe a bear hunt to somebody and to describe the fun and everything that goes along with bear camp. But until somebody actually experiences it, man,
Right.
they just don't. You can't fully wrap your mind around it.
Yeah.
You know, it's awesome. And like you said, I mean, it's a small community. Like I always joke around, like when I talk to people, it's like, hell, I mean, as bear hunters, we're all only removed by one person.
Right.
Like everybody, it seems like across the country, like you're like, oh, well, I know so and so. I know so and so.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that's the truth. So that was kind of the beginning of the end, then, huh? Driver's license, go chase some bears, and then you just neck deep in it.
Yeah, it was, man. That was pretty much it. It just kind of overtook me. I mean, I had a little bit of a hiatus. I played some college football, and so that kind of put a damper on it a little bit. But as soon as that was over, man, it was on.
Where'd you play?
It was game on. I played a little D3 school here in Michigan, Olivet College.
Right on.
So
what'd you do with the dogs at that point then? We're not going to skip over it because I think that's something I know, like even talking with Clay Newcomb, he got rid of dogs there for a while when he was a kid and going to school. And I've talked with a lot of people that's what they do. I mean, they grow up in it, but then they got to go out and kind of forge their own way. How did you deal with that? Did you stay involved at all?
It very minimally. I mean, I had, one, maybe, I'm trying to think. I might have had 2 dogs at home, and I wasn't doing any service by them, and I just couldn't. And so I wound up giving them away, and so I more or less, like, I still would come home, and I'd hunt, and do what I could, but it wasn't
just not
for a
active.
couple years. Yeah, I mean, I just wasn't active. And then once I got out of college, and I've owned, like, growing up, I mean, anytime it was like I would take any hound that there was. You know what I mean? Like, there's an ad in the paper, somebody's getting rid of, their culls, and it was like, go and get over. You know what I mean? Right, go to the pound, go get a hound, and so I had pretty much every breed under the sun, and I just decided when I was done with college, I wanted to get a blue tick, and I got a blue tick, and that's pretty much where I've been ever since.
Yeah. So you're pretty much running all blue dogs then.
Yeah. I have all blue ticks, and we do have one plot in the kennel, but as my boy constantly reminds me too, that's not my dog, that's his dog. So got him just for him, and that's the reminder.
It's funny. That's why I always love coming back that way, because like actually blue ticks are a big thing. Out here people laugh at you most of the time, but back there it was like I was in blue tick heaven, because we were running them on bear and we were showing them, and it was hard to find anything that I really liked out here. So most of it either came from one person here on the West Coast who I still like refer people to, or it was something I was looking at bringing in from Wisconsin. Like I had shipped a bitch in from a Jip from Robbie and Lisa Brooks. And, like the Downings, we had some stuff that was related, shirt tails to that, and some Rush Creek. It was like, it's a different world back there for the blue dogs where, and plots. Buddy always makes plot jokes, but it's like, it seems like once the guys got hooked on them, they kind of stuck with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely got a heavy foothold, here. There's no doubt. I mean, like, especially like the blue tick thing, like in this particular region of the country, I mean, there's a lot of blue ticks around here. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty well blue tick and plot heavy.
Yep.
Here in this, and then like you go to like the northeastern Lower Peninsula, and you start to, that's like Walker country, like we're divided.
Wally World out there. An imaginary line that just runs right there.
Exactly.
What was it with the blue dogs that hooked you?
Man, I don't know. Like at that time, I think
I'm going to cut you off
I just wanted.
because that's the answer
Yeah,
I get 99% of the times. Like, I don't know. I just always wanted one.
yeah, yeah. I think that was it, man. Like that was pretty much it. I always wanted one. I wanted something different. I mean, we ran a lot of black and tans. That was kind of like our, yeah. I mean, what we owned the most of.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I just wanted
There's
to get a
just
blue
something
tick.
about them.
Yep. Yeah. And once I got one, yeah, like I said, it hooked me.
You
So
remember what that dog was like out of? Like the bloodlines? Have they stayed pretty similar, or are you just kind of.
no, that was just an old, I don't even know what it was, just an old grade dog. I mean, like all my dogs are grade dogs, but now I'm kind of for probably the last 8 years or so, 10 years maybe, I've been pretty consistent with one line, and it's just Michigan breeding, man. It kind of goes back to this Ray blood and a few other bloodlines, like they've got a little Smoky River in them, a little bit of Sebastian in them, and but they're just mixed up grade dogs, and they do pretty doggone good.
Yeah. Are they just straight bear dogs now, or are you running cats with them in the winter too?
No, yep, I run cats with them in the winter. I mean, not, don't get me wrong, not every one I've got is a cat dog. I mean, they'll run bobcats, but they're not cat dogs.
Sure.
I mean, and I've only got two right now that I would say are cat dogs. But wintertime for me that's the hardest time for me to hunt.
Yeah.
As far as getting time goes, and and we have, like in this area, man, for whatever reason, we used to get good winters. I mean, we used to hunt off snow machines all the time, and now it's like crap. I can go everywhere in my Tacoma.
Yeah.
We just haven't been getting the snows, and then with the kids and everything else, and short
Oh
days,
yeah.
and not to make a bunch of excuses, but it's a heck of a lot easier to go turn loose on a bear than it is on a
Oh,
bobcat.
for sure.
And we got a better bear population.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine. But those are not excuses. I know I always thought the same thing, but it's like, dude, I think it was Aaron Kelly I was talking with, and we were talking about like, we can't do this every day. We got 9 to 5 jobs. We got families. Don't put unrealistic
Right.
expectations on something that you just can't achieve. It's hard.
Right.
That's what I would love to go out and run during the weekends, but I can't. I got 3 kids at home. I got a project scheduled out for the next 6 years. So we just shifted to running weeknights, and that's just how we had to do it and stay in the game. And you just kind of make the sacrifices. And,
Yep.
the snow trips, I mean, I'm kind of like you. There isn't a cat dog in that kennel. Not to say they can't catch one, but they're not cat dogs because I
Right.
don't get the opportunity to load up and take off for 2 days and go snow hunt and,
Yeah.
but I can run around here and we can bear ground and do all right.
Yeah.
So you just kind of
Right.
take what you can, play the cards you're dealt, right? I mean, that's just it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, it's tough. It's definitely tough. And you just keep on, like I said, making sacrifices and moving forward where you can, and just keep hoping for tomorrow.
Well, it's nice when you have dogs like that, though, that you can switch hit. I mean, that opens up a lot of opportunity. How do they do on that changeover? Is it pretty rough for them to go back to running cats after they've been chasing garbage trucks, or?
Yeah, well, you do. That's absolutely the hardest changeover and it's the first couple of weeks, man. Like you're really struggling trying to get them dogs to run with their nose to the ground, not running head up,
Yeah.
and they're overrunning everything, and then, like, I mean, for whatever reason, it seems that at least a lot of the cats that I run don't tree; they bay up on the ground.
Yeah.
and we get some pretty good sized bobcats, we get a lot of that high 30s and stuff like
Oh
that.
wow.
Um, into the 40-pound cats, not uncommon, especially in UP. But I mean, these dogs then, they've been working bears all summer and fall. I mean, they go in there to a bait up bobcat and then they just want to ball up on them, man.
Those are worse.
Oh gosh, doggone. And it takes about by the time cat season's out at the end, then they really start working good.
Yeah, right. That's how it always works.
Yeah.
Get them nice and tuned in. They start respecting it a little bit, and then boom, right back to chasing woolies.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, of course, like with our bobcats, like we don't get any training season, to speak of. Like you can, because the deer season structure now in Michigan runs so doggone long. With between they have like late antlerless firearm season and muzzleloader seasons and all these different season dates to control the deer herd.
Because it's insane. Your guys' deer herds are crazy out there.
Yeah, we got plenty of them.
I know every year. I mean, that's the big benefit for out of state. I mean, maybe I shouldn't plug that, but I mean, the nice part about Michigan is you can come in from out of state and you get multiple deer tags, and the tags are good through whichever season, right? I mean, if you don't fill your tag in archery season, you stay and you shotgun hunt, and if you don't fill it there, you stay and you muzzle loader. So like those years that deer tags were like 99 cents for a resident doe tag or something. I remember my dad going back there because we have not as much family now, but I've got family around that Somerset Center and Jerome, North Adams. Sure. In fact, my dad and my aunt own our family's old farmstead out of North Adams there, and he comes back still to hunt. And it's crazy out there. Like deer reports on the radio. That's why you guys have such a freaking coyote and crazy predator population, small predators.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, our deer herd contributes to all that.
But that's no joke. That's a long season. I mean, figure from beginning of the first to end of the season. What do you guys think that spans?
Well, I mean, like they start like we have like our youth and disabled veterans firearm hunt. It usually coincides with like the first part of bear kill season, and then they're deer hunting right to January 1st.
And you guys are just running alongside of them, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you have to. Like everybody shuts it down during the regular firearm season in Michigan. I mean, because that starts November 15th and goes to December 1st. And so like the southern half of the state's shotgun or straight walled cartridge only, and then the rest of the state's all regular rifle season. And it's the Orange Army out there. Like it's seriously, I mean, between Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, they always boast the highest number of deer hunters in the woods. And I mean, we're into the millions of deer hunters that'll be out there. You don't dare turn a dog loose during that time, man.
I know that's like down here. We always hated deer season when it rolled around. We all deer hunted too, but it's like, dang it, we got to hang the dogs up for a couple of weeks at least because you don't want to cause a confrontation if you can avoid it. No. I mean, we all got every right to be there, but it doesn't mean it's a fight worth fighting. Sometimes, give the deer hunters a week and everybody's happy. But the other one was they'd always pick up our damn dogs first thing in the morning. As soon as light hit and there was the first deer hunter down the road, you could figure you were making a trip to town to get a dog. I've had to call my mom. I mean, look me up on Facebook, get a hold of my mom somehow. And they just pick up dogs left and right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When I used to coon hunt a lot, that we had some same problems, because we'd coon hunt oftentimes through deer season. And same. If you were out all night, man, same issues. And they always assumed your dog was out running deer. It's like, no, the dog was just coming down the road.
Survey says.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you guys kind of just shut her down for the general firearm season, but other than that, you guys are running.
Yeah, and so that's where I was going, like the December thing. Like, so we'll start getting decent snows to run in, and there we have our muzzleloader season, which is the first 9 days of December. So it follows right on the shirt tails of the general firearm season, and usually everybody gives that a break. But afterwards, then you can start picking and choosing on days when you can go run, and but it's increasingly tough because you know, we have this decline of deer hunters, and so they keep adding more and more seasons, and they keep throwing it into December. And so it's like your training for a bobcat, man, keeps dwindling and dwindling and dwindling.
Yeah.
And then bobcat season starts January 1st.
And when does
So
it run
it
through?
just different zones, different parts of the state. We have one little zone that's only an 11-day hunt. Then we
Oh,
have
wow.
like the zone. Yeah, it's crazy. We have the zone that I actually live in, and that's month long. So it's January 1 to February 1. And then you go further north and through the UP, it goes January 1 to March 1st.
Right
So
on.
basically a month to 2 months, depending on where you're at. But you gotta, I mean, just know your management units.
Yeah. And is that a draw for the residents?
No, it's not a draw for the residents.
Oh, nice.
We, yeah, we're over the counter, which is really really handy. And they're
Is
actually
it
this
just
year
one cat
expanding.
per year?
Well, for the most part, like you can technically take a second cat in the UP as long as it's on private land.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, it's kind of a loophole thing. Like it used to be two cats. You used to be able to kill one cat in the lower, and then you could kill, if you killed one in the lower, you could kill two, another in the UP, or you could kill two in the UP.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
yeah, they've changed that since.
Yeah,
But
that's kind of how it is
uh,
here. We got East and West. Well, now
okay,
it's changed. It's a statewide. So we can do 5 cats statewide, including the east side where it used to be its own tag. It was either east or west. Now it gives us more options. Like guys like me who live on the west, I want to be able to go and cat hunt here if I want. And if we get a nice one, be able to take it. But I don't want to just buy western tags because the better cats are over east. So now you can
gotcha.
do unlimited westerns, as many as you want to buy a tag for, and then 5 statewide. So it kind of opened that up
Okay.
for guys to travel a little more.
Oh yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, it
Yep.
works out. Like I say, you make
Right.
1 or 2 trips a year, but you catch a nice cat, you want to be able to harvest it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. There's no question about it.
What's it
Um,
like hunting up there in the UP? Like that's a magical place that everybody talks about. Like once you go over the bridge, it's a whole different world.
oh man, it really honestly is. It's big country, man. Like especially coming from like this area where, I mean, we have a lot of federal land. I mean, a lot of federal land, but we got good road networks and everything else. And yeah, you get up there across the bridge, man, and it's big, wild, roadless country. And I think that's a lot of the draw of it. And it's a very game rich environment. And unfortunately, now it's to the point where because it's so game rich, it's very wolf rich.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was going to ask. It seems like they're taking
yeah,
off like crazy up there.
oh man, it's it's getting to the point where I mean, it's beyond unsettling. You know what I mean? Like you've really got to take a lot of things into account on whether or not you're going to turn loose. And it's unfortunate. I mean, like
Yeah.
we go the extra mile, man, to do what we can before we put dogs down, and it's tough. It's definitely tough. I mean, and of course, like there's no guarantees when we're on hounds. You know that you're ever going to see them
Right.
again. I mean, the moment you let that collar go, you know, it might be the last time you see that dog. But it, with the wolves the way they are, it gives you just one more thing, you know, to worry
Yeah,
about.
it's a different
So
element.
It is. It is. And they're just damn awful wicked.
Dude,
You
I
know?
know. Yeah, they'll kind of be the buzzkill, man. And it seems like more and
Yeah.
more hunters that I talk to, like the wolves are not new. Like this is not something new. We've been dealing with them for years, especially you guys out
Yep.
that way. But man, it just seems like it's spreading like crazy. You know, it's
Yeah. They,
every couple guys you talk to, somebody's got a wolf encounter, you know, or a dog got killed
yep.
or something bad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we get them. So like we run baits, that's what we start our bears off of most times off baits. Uh, and so we get it on camera, all the time. You get doggone wolves on camera. You'll see the scratches in the road and everything else. And, yeah, you just can't avoid the doggone things. Like the eastern half, the UP used to be relatively safe. And now there's not a safe spot to go.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we like this winter, we were cat hunting, and I could look and I could see. I'm looking at a wolf track, and I can look over and I can see the Mackinac Bridge, and you can see the Lower Peninsula, and it's like, what the hell is keeping these things here?
The bridge.
You know,
That's
what I mean,
it.
yeah, but it's like, man, alive. Once it's crazy. You just can't get away from them.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually they'll find their way too. That's the crazy thing. They won't
Oh,
have a choice but to push down.
right, right, exactly. And then we're gonna be in a sorry situation when they do.
Yeah. Well, and they're so big out there too. I mean,
Oh,
they are no joke. That's a serious piece of killing machine right there.
it is, man. It is. When you see one on the ground, and I mean, you see them in the woods, and you're like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah. Yeah. I love it when people say, "Oh, I think I saw one." It's like, if you saw something that was a wolf, you're gonna know that's a wolf. It's no mistaking for a coyote. You know, there's such a
Oh no,
size difference. It's insane.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy, and I mean, hopefully we can get this. They'll overturn that federal judge's ruling, and get them off the endangered species list because now. We finally got it in place in the state of Michigan for wolf hunting and trapping to be a viable means of management. So if they ever get off the list, we should be able to have some hunts.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it would. It would. I mean, just any way. You know what I mean? Because I think that's the biggest part of the problem there is now with them is, well, not the biggest part of the problem is that there's so many of them, but it's the fact that they have zero fear of humans
Yeah.
or of dogs or of anything. I mean, they're just out there running amok because
They're
everybody
having a
just has to
heyday.
grin and bear it. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely adds an element. I mean, when you're just out there trying to run dogs and enjoy it. But you guys probably don't have to put up with too much of that during bear season then, huh? Or is it still a real problem then?
The wolves,
Mhm.
it's a major problem then too.
So you got to just deal with
Major
it year
problem.
round.
Yeah, yeah. It's you just can't get away from it. The one thing that I will say that like during bear season, and this might be just the way I perceive it too, is that because the UP, especially the western half, the UP is a huge bird hunting destination too,
Hmm.
and there seems to be just enough traffic, enough gunshots, enough people out and about in the woods that it kind of makes the
Yeah,
wolves slightly more scarce, or more reserved.
that makes sense.
But and again, it might just be the way I perceive it too, or the lie I tell myself, so I feel okay turning my dogs out.
So I feel better about this.
Right, right,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's
But
not fun, man.
no, no, it's not. I mean, we haven't had any terribly close calls, but I mean, I had one time I thought I was walking into one that the wolves got, and fortunately, he was just had his ribs broke by a bear and was laid up under a brush pile. So
Oh,
but
that's
he
good.
wasn't moving.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
as good
yeah,
as
it
it
was a
can
lot.
be.
It was a lot better. It was a lot better. Yeah, there's no question. But then I had to hike him back out. It was just over 2 miles and cross a river and
Oh, geez.
yeah, yeah,
Well, why don't we shift gears a little bit because I want to talk about the dogs. I mean, we kind of touched on.
yeah.
You said it was like Ray Breeden and Smoky River, but I mean,
Yep.
even more than that. What kind of dog are you looking for? Like, what are the traits to you that stick out, and it's something that you're going to keep feeding?
Man, I mean, I think like every guy that runs bears, heart and drive is like the number one thing, man. That is what I want, hands down over anything. You got a dog that's got just that bottom end drive. That's what I'm really after. That's what I breed for. That's what I look for when I buy pups. Is dogs coming out of that type of dog.
Just
Um,
stay put,
but
tough dogs.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not as crazy about a super, super cold nosed dog. I would say, I guess, if anything, I kind of like more of a medium nose. I mean, because of our ability to run out through for kill season, run off baits, and because we can't bait pretty much during most of our training season here, we start baiting like into the second or so week of August is when we can usually start baiting. But so around me again, I mean, we got enough of a road network that we can generally find a bear track that's only at the most you're looking at a 10-hour-old track.
Yeah,
And I mean, so I don't need that dog that can run a 2-day-old track, I guess is what I'm saying.
sure.
So
Run one
I
you
would
can
rather have
catch.
one. I would rather have a dog that's going to run a track I can catch. And if it, I mean, they're not going to struggle on the old ones. And I like to see a dog, of course, that runs head up. I mean, they got to be running to catch and cold trailing. I mean, if you can get one that's, I mean, that has the ability to cold trail a bit head up too, that's even better.
Yeah,
And of course, a dog that's going to drift a bit and run the downwind side and that drive that makes them run to catch, man. That's what I really really like and want out of a dog.
yeah. And that's something I'm seeing and talked with a lot of guys about is those head up running dogs.
Yeah,
It's because they have that desire to catch. They are
right.
not a dog that's going to stick its nose down unless it has to. And that's the magic ticket is the one who knows like, hey, I can't move it this fast. I got to focus. I got to hunker down and just grub on this thing.
Yep.
Where it's like, but when they don't have to, they're not wasting time and they're kicking it into gear and they're cutting miles off of a race. When you think
Oh
about a
man.
dog that knows how to drift a track, man, they are cutting a lot of distance in a quick
Oh,
amount of time.
yes, they are. Yes, they are. And like you said, but they got to have the brains to know that when it falls apart, they got to put their nose to the ground and work it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are, I mean, the big traits that I'm after. And I mean, again, like almost any bear hunter, I mean, I got to have dogs got some grit. I'm not saying that they got to be, suicidal gritty. But I want them to pull fur when they have to and put enough pressure to make them climb. Um,
Yeah.
and and the other thing, I mean, as far as like my dogs that I have now are all pretty similarly built. I like a dog that's pretty leggy, and it's kind
Yeah.
of one of the things I look for too. And they're kind of, I guess you'd say, like they're a thinner built dog and they're longer. So they're kind of narrow. They when you look at them, you're like, that dog looks like a doggone cross country runner over. I mean, like
Right.
some of these dogs that are coon dogs look like a linebacker.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I know what you
And
mean.
yeah, and that's kind of, I like that build. I mean, I like a male dog to be, that 65, 70 pounds. I mean, I know it's not everybody's preferred, but this particular line dogs that I'm running right now and breeding, I mean, they really seem to hold up good.
Yeah.
And um they're, and boy, they move.
Do you think the legs are helping? I mean, because a lot of swamps and
Blowdowns.
environmental stuff. I know, like I have a dog that she'll hang up every time we hit the blowdowns. She just does not have enough leg to clear them, so she's
Sure.
up and down and up and down and up and down. And you get her in, more open country or brush, it's like boom, right back in it. But I would bet
Yep.
back where you are, those long legs would come in real handy with all the
Oh
swamps.
man, they really seem to. Yeah, all that swamp, and we get a lot of blowdowns. And I mean, in the our doggone woods are thick. I
Yeah,
mean, they're awful thick. And yeah, I mean, I would say the legs definitely help. I mean, they can certainly move.
yeah,
And yeah, they and it's and I like dogs got a good mouth. I like a hound that sounds like a hound. I like a hound
yeah.
that looks like a hound. I'm not crazy about the short ears and pointy nose. I mean, which I know it doesn't equate at all into game catching ability necessarily, but
You got to look at it every
it's
day.
yeah, right. I mean, and for the most part with blue ticks, you're gonna have a dog that looks like a hound. You're gonna have a dog that sounds like a hound.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Well, what are these two young dogs you were talking about earlier then? You said you had a couple of 2-year-olds that were just cranking.
Yeah, they're really doing good, man. I got a male and a female named Poncho and Lefty. And
Perfect.
yeah, and they're really getting it. I mean, that male last year, every bear that we ran during training season, he was either there on the jump or jump solo.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, and then then the female, she came into heat on me last summer, so I had to lay her up for a few weeks. But Lefty, but she's smaller than the rest of my dogs. She's got the same build, but she's only maybe, I think she's about 42 to 44 pounds is what she goes, right in that range. And she's just a little rocket, just a rocket. And they're both plenty gritty, man. They've got the scars now to prove it. And they they both rig really well, cold trail well. They did well on cats. They were happened out of a cross when we had. I mean, when we first started working with those pups and training those pups, I mean, my buddy and I, we both kind of remarked, it's like, man, this is like the naturals that you're looking for. Like, we've had to do nothing to provoke these dogs. They've just got it, and they want to
Nice.
do it. And
And are they
they've
litter
really
mates then?
yep, they're litter mates, and they've really been a joy to own. They're out of my dog. He's aging out now. I mean, he's 8 years old, but he's been my lead dog. And then out of my hunting partners, one female. And yeah, and unfortunately she died, so we can't even make the cross again. So what we got is what we got.
Oh, that's how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, you find a cross that really works. That's all. Something always happens where you can't make it again, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, at least you got two halves there. I mean, to carry
Yeah.
on.
Yep. Yeah. And these dogs, actually, that cross, so his female was half Cameron. So they've got a little Cameron blood in them, which is a little something different than what I've had. But they, they've really, they're really nice dogs, man. Really nice dogs.
Right on.
I'm happy every day I go out there and feed them. I can tell you that.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's what you need, man. Or why are we doing
Right.
this?
Yeah. And they're great with the kids too. That's like, I mean, for me, and I'm sure you're the same way having young kids. I got to have dogs that are just good with my family. And
Yeah.
those two are, even though they're just 2-year-olds, man, they just settle right down. They're just a real pleasure to be around. You can let them out in the yard and they're not going to take off on you. They stick around and want to be with you, want to be with the kids and wrestle around. And it's nice.
Right. They like being part of, the family. That's one thing. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't own a blue tick on the place now. We just lost Henry and Ralph. They were
Okay.
old, but that is the one thing about them is our oldest son, Colin, he had the chance to grow up with a bunch of those dogs. And at an age that he probably won't even remember much of when he's older. But I never worried about him. I never worried about those dogs. They were just so good, and they just wanted to be there. Whether they
Yeah.
were curled up in the corner of the couch, or if
Right.
they were just laying down in the yard watching them play. They were always really good about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It certainly makes it a lot nicer when they're like that, man. Like, I mean, and that's, I guess, that is another trait that I look for with the dogs, is making sure that they have that capacity to, yeah. I mean, 'cause not every dog likes having little kids just maul them. I
The
mean, I gotta
livability
have
factor.
them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always a big factor around here. Is can I live with you, and are you smart enough to turn off a bark collar?
Oh
If
my
you can figure out how to make
goodness.
that bark collar stop, you got a pretty good chance of staying.
Right. Right. Yeah. I got one that, I mean, he's dogged. He's got more grit than I want, but he is the difference during kill season and killing a rough bear or not. But
Yeah.
my goodness, man, I think he had lost a little oxygen or something when he was coming through the womb. I mean, because that dog
Screw loose.
will bark through a bark collar. I mean, unlike anything you've ever seen. And he is nonstop. I put him in the truck, and from the moment the truck stops or starts, from the moment he gets put down, he is just barking. I mean, he will just, you can wear him out with the TT-15, man, and he just
Oh
doesn't
man,
even care. He does not
no,
even care.
I couldn't
He's
take it anymore.
oh, there's been plenty of days. There's been plenty of days where I was
It's
sure that I was gonna
it's
be able
like
to
that
handle it.
constant teeter totter, right? It's like you do
Yeah.
something good, so we're gonna add some weight here. But you irritate me when you do this, so we're gonna add some weight here, and it's just this constant back and forth.
Oh yeah. Well, I was joking around with my wife because, I mean, coming in to last weekend, like, I was dead set. I was like, I'm gonna get him in shape, get him hard to where I can show him good, and I'm gonna sell this dog before kill season. And then we had a bear that was wanting to fight a bit on Sunday and wouldn't climb, and I got into where I could cut him under 500 yards, and I cut him in there, and he wasn't in there for, I mean, maybe a minute. Next thing you know, everybody's showing treed.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
You can look
and so
past a
then,
lot for that.
yeah, exactly. So then I walk in there, and it's like, dog, God, you are worth keeping, man.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, especially
Yeah.
with two rock stars coming up. I mean, like that's
Yeah.
to have a dog there that knows how to handle a bear too. I mean, I think
Oh
that's the
yeah.
hard part with young dogs is they're either going to have respect for them or they're not. And if they
Right.
have respect without ever having an encounter, like that's when you question the desire. It's
Yep.
like you have no reason to back off right now. Are you being
Exactly.
smart or are you being, a little scared? But
Yep.
then you get those ones that are not afraid to go in and work a bear. I mean, and that's what I say to people. You just don't know until you see it. The difference in running a bear and working a bear. I mean,
Oh
totally, totally different.
yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I've seen lots of dogs can run a bear. You know, and
Yeah, but something
yeah.
like that, especially
Yep.
like I said, those young dogs, man, it's nice to have some backup in them. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to end up being the same way if they're already kicking butt at two. It's
Oh yeah.
once they get a
Yeah.
taste for it, they don't really stray from it.
No, no, they definitely don't. And I mean, yeah, yeah, those dogs did really well. I mean, we knocked quite a few bears out for them in the fall, and I mean, so that always helps, of course, you know. And yeah, then having things like that, because they were both there at that tree with this dog, and I mean, having him go in there, but in making them climb, I mean, it definitely shows them they learn a lot.
Yeah.
They can learn a lot. Yep.
Now, were these the same young dogs that caught the porcupine?
No, no, no. The dogs got the porcupine. Fortunately, I do not own. And not
That's
saying that I
always
don't
nice.
have. Yeah, not saying that I haven't pulled my fair share of quills because I definitely have, but no, they're some other members of the group, and it wasn't terrible, I mean, but
But you
they
weren't
definitely
getting
got some
quills pulled
stoops.
out of you.
No, no, and I've been there, I think we all have there.
Oh, see, we don't have
Yeah.
too many of them out here. I mean,
Oh,
we
really?
do. There's some. I mean, I know like so I shouldn't say we don't. I'm in Southern Oregon, so we're a little different than like we're buddies hunting up there. But
Okay.
we've got fishers and a lot
Oh,
of them
yeah.
right here in Southern Oregon. There's like a pocket. They're doing a study right now. And,
So they're putting the
that's
whack on
kept
the Porkies.
a lot of them at bay. I mean, I think it
Yeah,
really hurt our cat population too, but definitely wiped out a bunch of the Porkies. Until we get
yeah,
over east, I'll see some, or if I go over to the coast, you get some in those big, coastal old growth stuff.
sure.
But yeah, luckily we don't have to deal with it. We just got skunks. I mean, that's like the kryptonite, because you can't get that smell out. I mean,
Oh,
I used
no.
to have a guy that if I got a collar skunked, I just picked up the phone and I said, "Hey, I got another skunky collar," and he'd buy every one of them because I couldn't
Really?
stand smelling them. Oh yeah, you can't get it out when it turns your TT15 white. I
Oh, yeah.
mean,
She's
that's
ruined.
direct hit, man. It's over. You are not going to scrub that out. Just call me up, buy a new battery case, swap it out, and you're going to save yourself a bunch of hacking and gagging, and just save yourself the problems because it is nasty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they they are wicked, man. They are
It's like,
wicked.
man, at least with a porcupine, I think, well, it sucks for the dog. I mean, don't get me
Oh, yeah.
wrong, but it's not dragging me down with it. I'm not having to sit there and gag my whole way home.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's a
they
fact.
always seem to do it. I joke it's a blue tick thing. I mean, like
Sure.
historically, I've always joked blue ticks and skunks. I swear,
Yep.
it's like they get one and they know they can get it, and then from that point on, they're gonna get it. That's it. I
Oh,
mean, they will not pass one up. And I remember I had dogs. I was just trying to break on them, and I could not break them. And to the point where they just walk off. They
right.
just do this nonchalant, just pull off the road, walk over the cut bank, and I'm thinking, don't you dare do it. I know
Yep.
what you're doing. And then they'd
Right.
turn around and they'd hit the road and they'd start roading, and you'd think you were fine for about 20 yards. And then it hit you, and you'd watch spit fly. They do that head shake, and those big jowls are just flinging, 3 foot of spit out each side,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
dyed green. And it was, oh my God.
Oh,
Yeah, but it's no quills, so I can't really complain.
no, no, yeah, but man, the skunks are rough. I have an old female that I always joked around that she actually liked the taste because I mean she wouldn't hardly walk by a skunk.
Right?
Same
Like they
thing.
just want it.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know what it is about them either, man.
I
But
don't
believe
either.
it or not, I know a person, and I'm not going to say her name on this podcast, but she's going to know exactly who I'm talking about. Absolutely loves the smell of a dog when it's got skunked. I
Seriously?
mean, will like say, and I don't know if she's pulling my leg or not. I mean, she's quite the
Oh,
BS or sometimes. Yeah, she's like, yeah, I'll bring him into bed. And I'm like, that's disgusting. I don't know how you
yeah.
do that.
You're not right. You're not right. Yeah, I
He's
know
like,
I'm not
no.
right in ways, but that's definitely not right.
Well, that means at
Yeah.
least your buddy got his train wreck out of the way for the year. Now you guys should have smooth sailing and get some dogs trained.
Oh, well, yeah, hopefully. I mean, we're good for many train wrecks. I mean, we always seem to get ourselves into a good pickle, man, and we've got just mountains of stories that we can sit back and laugh on.
Oh, well, let's hear a good one, man. We're hitting the end of our time here today. Give me a
Yeah.
good train wreck.
Well, we were one that probably set us back a good amount of time. We were in the UP, and we hunt the western end, and they do a lot of logging up there. I mean, and probably not as much as what you guys are used to, but it's pretty heavy in the logging. and we had a bear caught on the ground, and in its first or second week of October. And so we're trying to figure out, it was kind of a new area where we hadn't been, trying to figure out how the best way to get into it. Well, and I'm looking and showing on the map and shows this trail. I'm like, odds are that sucker's long gone, burned up, And I pull up there, and sure enough, I mean, the trail's there, but there's so doggone many ferns, and they're all brown at that point, because we hadn't had a heavy frost yet, so nothing's fallen over. But I start easing my truck up it, and this skidder trail, I mean, they'd been loading the trucks and everything on it too, so it was wide enough that you couldn't really tell where the road was and if you were kind of off the road or whatever. But I mean, you've bear hunted, you know how it goes when you're going into a catch or to a tree or trying to cut the dogs off. I mean, we're not taking her easy. We're hitting her at full send, and I have no idea what's in front of us. And of course, neither one of us have our seatbelts on. They're in the truck, and we're whiz banging through there, and we're pretty deep at this point. And all of a sudden, we come to a very abrupt stop, and both of us bounce our heads off the windshield. Oh. Everything that was in the back seat is now directly in the front seat with us. And chainsaw goes flying off, dog bogs, like the whole works. And so luckily,
stopped.
Yeah, stopped. I mean, I'm talking now. And so luckily, my buddy that was following us, he gets up to us. I was like, hold on, man. No, we got to see what's going on. We came to a very abrupt stop. He's like, oh, I saw it. He's like, your dog box came up out of the back of the truck, good 6 inches, And,
man.
Oh, yeah. And so we get out, and I've got, I am wedged on the cross member right on a stump. And so we're like, well, no big deal. Just get on there with the saw and cut it out. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever ran a chainsaw underneath your truck, but that kind of puckers you up a little bit.
I can't say that.
Especially when, I mean, it's a 7.5 hour drive home from there. And so it's like, you don't want anything to go wrong. So I start running the saw, and I mean, this stump is just binding from the way of the truck. Of course, we were going downhill a little bit, and it's just working this thing to get it cut. And I think I got it cut through. I mean, several times. And so I pull out the axe, and we're beating on it. Cannot get this dang thing beat out. And so we went and tried to hook up on it with a strap. And my buddy does pull me out, and we start pulling on it. And if we were to do that, I mean, we hit it in such a way where I dented my skid plate and launched and landed on the cross member. Well, if we were going to pull backwards, I mean, I'm probably ripped my A-arms off, underneath the truck.
Yeah.
And so we go and we cut a big poplar tree down and cut ramps out of it. And I mean, this whole thing. And now, of course, because I'm running my saw through the dirt and the mud and everything, trying to cut that doggone stump out. I mean, it's like trying to hack
butter knife.
Exactly. I mean, got further with a spoon. And so we get ramps made, and we get her yanked out of there. Get to where I can get out anyway and get enough clearance. And as soon as the weight got off of that doggone stump, the whole thing just fell apart. It wasn't even there.
Of course.
Yeah. So we get her pulled out, and so now we still got this dog to go into, and we're hoping, that we're gonna, the dog's still showing in the same spot, and so we're gonna try a different way in. Well, by the time we get around, of course, that was all over. The whole thing fell apart. Bear got away, but it is what it is. But that was, it was a pretty good one. We wore some goose eggs for the rest of camp. I mean, some big goose eggs too.
Oh,
and,
man.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one.
It's stuff like that
But
that makes you wary of what you carry in your hunting truck and how
oh
you pack it, because I'm really bad about just throwing crap in the back. And then you think about it and it's like, I'm driving down the road one day and my buddy says, dude, I just hope that everything back there stays back there. Don't wreck this thing. Cause you got, ammo cans full of gear. We're packed up to the back window going on a hunt. And it's like, yeah, that could ruin your day real quick.
right. Oh yeah. Yeah, I am will 100% tell you that I am very conscious of how I put stuff in the back now after that.
PSA for the week, people. Houndsman, be careful
exactly.
how you pack your truck.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah.
Oh man.
We seem to get ourselves into some good pickles anyway. I mean, but that's what makes it part of the fun,
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we tell ourselves after it.
Yeah. I think we're a little twisted.
Yeah, we got to have a screw loose to do this, man.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, awesome. I hope you have a good rest of the season, man. Stay in touch. I know we get to chat every once in a while, but I really appreciate you coming on and keep the train wrecks to a minimum, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. I really appreciate you having me on here, and yeah, we'll give her hell. We always do. So we got a lot of promise this season. So, but yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, thanks again, Elijah. Have a good one.
You too, Jason. Take care, man.